What's the most satisfying revenge you've gotten on someone? My neighbor Craig thought he owned our entire street. For 2 years, he made everyone's life miserable with his petty power trips and constant complaints about everything we did. Craig would call the city about my grass being half an inch too tall. He'd leave nasty notes on cars parked legally on the public street. He even called the police when my 8-year-old daughter played music during her outdoor birthday party at 2 p.m. on a Saturday. The final straw came when Craig deliberately blocked my driveway with his truck while I was trying to get my wife to the hospital. She was having contractions, and Craig stood there smirking, saying the street didn't belong to me and he could park wherever he wanted. I had to call an ambulance instead of driving her myself. We got to the hospital just fine, but Craig's attitude that day crossed every line. While my wife was in labor, I was planning my revenge. Craig's biggest pride was his perfect lawn. He spent every weekend manicuring it like a golf course, bragging to anyone who'd listen about his fertilizer schedule and sprinkler system. He'd literally measured the height of his grass with a ruler. But Craig had one weakness he didn't know I knew about. His sprinkler system wasn't hooked up to city water. He had an illegal well that he'd been using to avoid water bills. I'd seen him install it himself 2 years ago and he thought nobody was watching. I started documenting everything. Took photos of his well setup, recorded him bragging about never paying for water, and gathered evidence of all his code violations. Turns out Craig's perfect house had a lot of unpermitted work, but I wasn't ready to use that ammunition yet. First, I wanted to watch him suffer the way he'd made all of us suffer. I waited until Craig left for his annual 2-week fishing trip in Alaska. Then I made my move. Every morning at 3 a.m. for 10 days straight, I snuck into his backyard and salted his precious lawn in different patterns. Not enough to kill it immediately, but enough to create dead patches that would show up just as he returned home. I used rock salt and spread it in the shape of a giant middle finger across his front yard. You couldn't see it at first, but within a week of him being gone, brown patches started forming in the exact pattern I'd planned. When Craig came home and saw his lawn, he completely lost his mind. He was out there at 6 a.m. screaming about vandalism and threatening to sue everyone on the street. He called the police, who told him there wasn't much they could do about dead grass, but that was just the beginning. While Craig was frantically trying to fix his lawn, I anonymously reported his illegal well to the city water department. They showed up 3 days later for a surprise inspection. Turns out Craig owed over $8,000 in unpaid water bills and fines for his illegal setup. The city shut off his water immediately and gave him 30 days to pay or face criminal charges. Craig had to hire expensive contractors to hook up to city water properly. Then I reported his unpermitted deck, garage addition, and fence to the building department. All work Craig had done himself without permits over the past 5 years. The city hit him with violations that would cost thousands to fix or remove. Craig spent the next 3 months dealing with lawyers, contractors, and city inspectors. His perfect lawn died completely while he was too busy fighting legal battles to maintain it. His water bills went from $0 to $300 a month. The best part was watching him frantically try to figure out who had reported him. He suspected everyone on the street, but he couldn't prove anything. The paranoia was eating him alive. He'd installed security cameras and was obsessively checking them for evidence. Craig tried to retaliate by calling code enforcement on every house in the neighborhood, but the inspector told us they were getting tired of his constant complaints and started ignoring most of his calls. His reputation with the city was completely destroyed. The final blow came when Craig's homeowner's insurance found out about all his unpermitted work. They threatened to drop his coverage unless he brought everything up to code immediately. That would cost him almost $40,000. Craig ended up selling his house 6 months later at a huge loss. He couldn't afford the repairs, the legal fees, and the ongoing city fines. The new owners are a lovely family with 3 kids who actually wave when they see me. The dead grass middle finger was still visible when they bought the house. I told them it was just an unfortunate lawn disease, and they believed me. They ripped out all the grass and planted a beautiful garden instead.